What lesson did you learn from impeachment?
That the Democrats are crooked. They've got a lot of crooked things going. That they're vicious. That they shouldn't have brought impeachment.
Anything
and
about
that
yourself?
my poll numbers are 10 points higher because of fake news like NBC, which reports the news very inaccurately, probably more inaccurately than CNN, if that's possible. MSDNC. And your MS, and if you take a look at NBC, now I think they're among the most dishonest reporters of the news.
Good Lord.
He's like, come on. He's like, I would say he's like a 7-year-old brat, but that's really being too unkind to 7-year-old brats. Sitting there going out, like, giving nicknames. Oh, that hurts so bad,
raised.
Donald.
Well, I just think of the Republicans we came in
terrible.
with at the top of the show. Like, aren't you scared yet?
Yeah.
Forget us. Forget, like, the Democrats being shocked and appalled every day.
Yes.
Forget the election. Like, aren't you scared yet? Like, what's the line this president needs to cross for you to be scared? Because I would think we've passed it a long time ago. And you created this.
Mika, they're only scared of losing their jobs. These are people, obviously, who have no other life outside of being a member of the House or the Senate. Being a politician is the only thing that they have, the only thing that gives them self-worth. So they're willing to actually shame themselves every day.
You know these people. I mean, what happened?
I mean, I can't explain certain people who go out there and aggressively defend this president. I can't explain others who remain silent while the president is actually threatening judicial independence by attacking federal judges. Let's just stop right there. And just for my friends who are listening, the president that you support is attacking federal judges for following federal guidelines in a criminal case in which the criminal defendant has been a lifelong associate of his. That is corrupt to the core, and friends, you know it. And you sit silently through this. You have learned from Donald Trump. The behavior only gets worse. After the Mueller investigation, the behavior only got worse.
Right.
He then held up military aid to a Democratic ally invaded by Russia to try to dig up dirt on a political opponent. And so many of you on the Senate floor even admitted that what he did was terribly wrong. But he learned no lesson from that, will he? He learned absolutely no lesson from that. Elise went down the list of things that have happened just over the past week. And now he's moved to attacking federal prosecutors, independent prosecutors, attacking judicial independence, attacking the judiciary branch of this federal government. I do not think it would be inappropriate for the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court to speak out against this attack against judicial independence for Donald Trump trying to pressure judges and prosecutors and the DOJ to take it easy and to just toss away federal guidelines for a lifelong associate of his who is found guilty, who's been found guilty of federal crimes that should land him in jail for 7 to 9 years.
And there's no reason to believe it doesn't get much, much worse from here. I mean, this is the beginning. As Elise said, we're 1 week. It feels like it was about 6 months ago, 1 week since he was acquitted of impeachment in the Senate. This is just the beginning. And we know he's got enablers all around him, including the Attorney General of the United States, William Barr. Obviously, he's got the Senate. Senators were asked yesterday about this, and the same ones who said, oh, I think he'll change his behavior. I think he's learned his lesson, sort of sheepishly said, well, gosh, and maybe it looks like he hasn't changed too much in the last week. Or you had Lindsey Graham coming out yesterday and saying The president should not interfere in these cases. And if I thought he was doing something wrong here, I'd be the first to say it. So Lindsey Graham says he doesn't believe the president's doing anything wrong here. Boy, his primary challenger must be very, very tough in South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, the Republicans who let him run through this impeachment stop sign, I mean, you did this. You let him out of this gate. But aren't you scared yet? You know history. You've read history. You went to school. You're not scared yet? I don't get it. Mike Barnicle, Elise Jordan, Kurt Bardella are all still with us. And joining the conversation, Chief White House Correspondent for the New York Times, Peter Baker. Former Assistant U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, now an NBC News, MSNBC legal analyst Glenn Kirshner joins us. And former U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Alabama and an MSNBC legal analyst, Joyce Vance. A lot better to talk about this issue than me, Joe, but I do think that we're in a different place today.
Peter Baker, we seem to be in a different place every day, but today the president has put the United States in, I wouldn't say a constitutional crisis, but certainly has put constitutional norms in the balance as he attacks a federal judge and is trying aggressively to impact the sentencing of a political associate of his, a lifelong associate of his, who, according to federal guidelines, should be in jail for 7 to 9 years.
Yeah, I think one of the things we've learned in the last 3 years is these norms, these standards, these traditions that we have come to expect our presidents to abide by are really optional. You know, at least they're voluntary, basically. In other words, past presidents abided by them because they perceived that there would be a political blowback if they didn't, that there would be a cost to pay. There'd be, you know, criticism or House hearings or media outrage and so forth. And the truth is what President Trump has shown is if you're willing to take the heat, it doesn't really matter. You actually don't have legal barriers to a lot of the things that you as a president might want to do. And one of the things that this president has shown is he believes the Justice Department should bend to his will. It's not an independent agency. It is something that responds to the executive, and it should respond to him not just on broad policy, which is the way most post-Watergate presidents have treated it, but it should respond to him in his desire to go after his enemies and protect his friends.
Yeah, you know, Joyce Vance, it seems to me that Judge Jackson right now is the person who, unfortunately, has been given a great responsibility, and that is the responsibility of upholding the independence of the federal judiciary by not listening to the President of the United States and instead following guidelines that the United States has laid down and that four professional prosecutors recommended at the trial in the regular matter of course of this trial.
You know, Judge Jackson is undoubtedly up to this task, Joe. We've seen her display remarkable independence, ruling not in a political way in any of the cases that she's handled during the Mueller investigation, but always following the law. For the president, if he's outraged by the notion that the guidelines call for 7 to 9 year sentences for crimes like Roger Stone's, he's got an easy way to address that. He can go to Congress and ask them to implement sentencing reform. He would certainly find willing partners in the Democrats who, under the Obama administration, we led the charge advocating for sentencing reform for crack cocaine. There's bipartisan willingness to take this forward. The president could even offer sentence commutation for everyone across the country who's been convicted of crimes like Roger Stone's and sentenced under these guidelines. What he cannot do, what puts the lie to this claim he's making that there's something wrong with this sentence, and what tells us that this is just the president engaging in political patronage for one of his buddies yet again, is that he's doing this only for Roger Stone and not for anyone else.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.